what got you into cars in the beginning? And what?
Probably the stock standard answer for a lot of people is probably Top Gear. Because I was born in England and moved over here when I was about 8. So, but obviously at that age you don't kind of really know a lot of things. But I remember just, you know, parents watching it, that kind of thing, and then came over here with not like a deep interest, but then like, in like maybe intermediate, late high school, like, or early high school, I made friends with someone who's like super into it, and that kind of kick-started me into it. So I'd finished basic training for the Navy, and I was doing branch training, so I was learning my job. It was going to be another couple months. And at that point you get like privileges, like you can live off base if you wanted to, and I decided to live on base because it was easier, but also you're not being looked at the whole time, that kind of stuff, so you had a bit of freedom. And I was like, well, I'm going to need a car because, you know, I want to go out and get food and, you know, do that kind of stuff. So I started looking on Facebook, Trade Me, that kind of thing, with the budget that I had. And then it just kind of cropped up, and I was like, that's cool. And, you know, I'm into cars, I like that kind of stuff, and it was just like, it kind of worked, and it was like, I'll just get it on a whim. If it's rubbish, oh well, you know. But it's also a Toyota, so it's got to be somewhat reliable. So I was like, yeah, let's do it. Yeah, my parents weren't amused, but. And I took my brother back across to the city from Devonport with the roof off and all that sort of stuff. So mainly because he's too big, it wouldn't actually fit with the roof on. So that's quite fun. Yeah. I remember the day I bought it, I obviously drove it away because I got dropped off by someone. I kind of had no choice. I was kind of like, because like someone else I was in training with, they said they were going, they obviously lived south of Auckland, like Hamilton or something, and I was like, oh, can you drop me off at this place? It's, you know, it's over the bridge, it's south. She was like, yeah, sure. And dropped me off, and I was like, I've got no idea how I'm getting back or anything. Like, I've never been this far south of Devonport or the bridge or anything. But I had the money and I wanted a car, so I was like, it'll do. I just remember thinking, oh my God, it's raining. I'm in a car that's prone to stepping out and killing people. Right after I bought it, you know, Donut Media? They did an up to speed on MR2s, and I was like, perfect. And pretty much learned a lot through that, and then, yeah, was a bit cautious and was a bit like, oh, did you know this about them at the same time? Like, yeah.
Actually, that's the thing. How do you find the target time?
It's actually not too bad. Like, it kind of does leak sometimes, but it'll only drip in like one spot on each thing, which is not too bad, so it's kind of manageable. I remember last year sometime I took it to one of those like touchless drive-through car washes. So nothing actually touches it, but it's just high pressure water just getting squirted. And it just came around the window and I just got blasted from like 3 different directions. I was like, oh shit, like, oh no. And then it came around and I was like, please don't do it to the other one. It just went, and I was like, oh no. I had my girlfriend at the time next to me too, and she had like a denim jacket. And I was like, put it up against the window, put it up. And she was like, no, it's my jacket. I'm like, I don't care, give it here. Like, so I bought it when it had 200, I think it just clicked over 203,000 on the, it's now got just over 222. And that was I bought that in 2018, January or February, one or the other. Yeah, for $2,300. Well, yeah, such a steal. Like nowadays, yeah, you'd never find one for that, or you might, but it's a bit clapped up. I have thought about that a lot because obviously I've done quite a bit to it. It's mainly all interior stuff because it was pretty bog standard. I didn't really like it. But then obviously we've got things like the paint job, the custom headlights. Yeah, the little bits like that, which will obviously stack up over time, but I've never had it properly evaluated or anything like that. I might do soon, but every time I think about selling it, I'm like, but what would I get to replace it? Because it's such a weird, quirky, cool thing that it's like, but it's also in that sort of low level budget, but you know, like, and it's like, how do you replace it with something that also feeds the need, you know?
And I suppose it's also hard now as well with the value of not only
these have skyrocketed, like
every JDM.
Yeah, exactly. Everything's, yeah, exactly. First thing was get a Bluetooth head unit because I was sick of cables and all that kind of stuff. In late, I don't want to say 2019, I'm pretty sure, yeah, it was 2019. So in late 2019, there was a thing I saw on Facebook, and it said, it was a casting call, yeah, that's the pun they used, it was ridiculous. casting call for 90s cars. It didn't say what it was for or anything, it just said casting call for 90s cars, email this with pictures of your car. And I was like, well, this is a 1990, so it fits the bill, and may as well, because they can only say no, right? Like, it doesn't matter. So I sent them all the good pictures that I'd taken of the car, you know, the beauty angles, all that stuff. And they came back to me about a few, either just before New Year's or very early in the new year. And they were like, we love it, we want it, and we want it for a main character. And I was like, I was thinking you were going to use it as like a background car or something like that, because this is way out of its depth right now for being a main character car, because the paint was like, as most people know, 90s paint was hideous at the time. Well, not hideous at the time, but hideous in today's age, especially with New Zealand and the harsh sun. But yeah, it was also red. So the whole like roof panel just behind the T-tops and the engine cover, and mainly down the passenger side, was all just, it was sun faded, peeling, all that kind of stuff. Everything else was pretty good, but what was there was pretty bad. So I sent them pictures of that, and I was like, this is also what you're dealing with if you want it. What should I do? What do you want to do? That kind of thing. And they were like, well, it does hurt your application like a fair bit. And I was like, okay. And they were like, but then they also mentioned in an email previously that every day that they would use the car, they'd pay me $200. So I was like, well, if you guys are going to pay me $200 a day, you've probably got mechanics and an auto shop or something. You know, if I'll give you the car, if you guys paint it, you can have it for free. I will happily give you, you can do whatever you want, you can keep it, I can sort out another car for myself, it's fine. If you paint it, you can use it for free. And they were like, it's a generous offer, but we don't really have that kind of means. And I was like, well, if I can get it painted on the Rush, would it still? And they were like, so apparently there was the chick I was emailing, and then someone above her, or the people above her weren't very keen, but she was like, please do it, because I want to see the car in there. And I was like, sweet, I'll get it done. I contacted a heap of shops, and one shop said, yeah, we can do it in like 5 days. And I was like, brilliant, at a good price. And then went for it, picked it up 5 days later. It looks as it is now. Obviously this isn't very washed at the moment, but it looked good at the time. Yeah, for the Rush job that they did, it's pretty good work. There are little bits that, like, if you get close, you'll notice that it's not top-notch work, but it's good enough. It was more than good enough for the price and the time schedule. So I was like, sweet, cheers. And then contacted the person back and was like, it's been painted, it looks great. It looks exactly like it would have just rolled off the factory floor. And she was like, oh, we're real sorry, but you've been beaten out, because we've realized that we need a scene with 4 people in the car. So we've had to get a Nissan 300ZX. And I was like, so you screwed me from the start. You just didn't, granted you didn't actually realize that you'd screwed me from the start, but it was also good because it gave me the kick up the arse to go and get it painted, which was something that I was wanting to do, but just never had the means or the funds really to do it. But then, yeah, obviously that kickstarted it, and now I'm glad I did it. So the wheels kind of stuffed me over a little bit, but it's kind of a good story as well. Someone was like, oh, this guy's selling his wheels, and I was like, well, obviously they're going to fit an MR2, because obviously. So, and they're these ones, and I was like, you're black and red, kind of the theme of the interior as well, so could go well. So I bought them for $600, and they came with tires as well. So I was like, rims and tires, $600, good deal. Hit up my mate with a super clean Toyota Hilux. I was like, hey, I'll give you a box of beers if we can go like an hour west like tonight to get these like rims for me. He was like, yeah, sweet. Went and grabbed them, and then the tires were just like shot. I think it was because he was using them as like they were race tires. So they were just wrecked, they were just almost destroyed. And then found out that because of the weird sort of size that these have to run with fetters on the rear and all that sort of stuff, it was like ridiculous amount. So the rears alone are the only thing that would fit the rim, and they're $800 for both.
Yeah, they look like Dunlop, like fancy.
The Yoko Advan A80, that's the one, that's the one. And then the fronts are sort of a bit cheaper, but still Yoko. When I first got it, I went to like a run, it was like a Woodcocks run or something, and a few guys turned up, and I was like, look, I'm brand new to this, I've got like little to no idea what I'm realistically doing. What are some like hard guidelines that I need to follow? And this guy was like, always run fatter tires in the rear, just always, never get same width all around. And I was like, okay, why is that? And he goes, because it just hates it. There's just something about the physics of the mid-engine, the rear-wheel drive, that kind of stuff. It just does not like fat tires or, you know, same width tires all around. And I was like, well, that's annoying, but also kind of makes sense. And yeah, obviously that came back and stung me later with $800 rears. Like, pretty much it.
Yeah, thank you so much for.
That's all right.
Yeah, you gotta think of the small things, you know?
Yeah, no, definitely. No, it could be good. Yeah, it could be good. Could be good.
With the car.
Yeah.